Hey everyone, George here, and welcome back to the channel. I have not been on here in probably a week. I know I've done a lot of shorts here on the angelfish tank, and we're doing pretty good with that. We're on our 12th day today, and these guys are free swimming. That's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is buying your discus or fish online in general. And particularly I want to talk about discus because that's generally what I buy online if I'm getting anything. I get it locally typically, but discus I tend to get either online if I can't find it, or I have someone that's fairly local down in Portland, Oregon, where I get them. It's called the Wet Spot, or Cichlids Advantage is a location down there that does a lot of supplying to our area around here. Now, I want to talk about buying fish online. That's a really important issue here that I wanted to make some clarifications on, because I think I left an impression with some people that my choice is not to buy online, and I want to clarify that a little bit. So number one, I would never buy anything online if I can get it locally. And the reason for that is, as I explained in one of my last videos, is if you can see the fish and you have a hands-on experience of being able to look at those fish and look into their eyes, look into their general health all together, and pick a particular fish out, that is always the best way to buy a discus fish or any really expensive centerpiece type fish. And I truly believe that, just simply because it's obvious. We don't always have that opportunity. Sometimes we don't have the ability to find a supplier close by that has what we're looking for. So the next alternative is to look outside of where your area is and to go with someone that is online, who's been around a while, and that kind of thing. Now, there's a lot of people out there that I advertise for, and there's some people that I've advertised for and then I've removed them because I've had a false impression about who these people were or whatever. But I don't want to give anybody the impression that I strictly don't believe in buying online. That's not true at all. If they're listed on my page, then they are people that I can tell you that I've had nothing but a good experience with, and I'm not going to send you to these people unless I know myself that you're going to have a good experience. Now, not every person is going to have a good experience. Now, what I mean by that is things can happen. I have a supplier that I've used for a long time, and I had a fish come in the other day that had, it was a discus fish that punctured the bag, and I thought the fish was dead. I call them my miracle fish online. If you looked at that short on my channel, you know which fish I'm talking about. And the bag was punctured and there was no water in that bag whatsoever. I was just shocked when I was getting ready to dispose of the fish that the mouth was moving and the fish was fine. It's just one of those unexplainable things. But that's not always the case. Sometimes you get fish in there, bags are full of water, the fish are dead. It's just because they were not packed correctly, or something was wrong with the fish to begin with, or you know, many different things can happen in shipping. So as I said, I don't shy away from buying online. I try not to unless I absolutely have to. But the people that I have listed on my page here in the description area of my videos are people that I have a lot of confidence in, and people that I trust will give you a good experience when you're buying fish. Be specific when you're buying fish. There's an area typically online when you're buying a fish that will give you an opportunity to sort of explain what you want very carefully in the details section. It'll say typically like extra things that you may be looking for, or what you want in your fish, those kinds of things. And that's a good time for you to put in there that you were recommended by someone, number one. Number two, that you're looking for a fish that you know eats, or that they know eats, and find out what that person or what the supplier is feeding that fish. Have them write it down on the little card that they're going to send with it. Those are all little details that can help you a lot in making sure that your fish get off to a good start. Now, there's going to be situations, like I said, where you're going to get fish that show up at your place dead. Typically, a good supplier is either going to give you credit or they're going to send you out new fish. Now, should you have to pay for the shipping for those new fish? No, you should not. If those fish came to you and they were never out of the bags, make sure you take a picture of yourself unboxing these fish. I do that with every single fish that I get in. And I have gotten in hundreds of discus over the last several years, and I can tell you that anytime there's a problem, the first thing I do is I grab my phone, I take a video of me unboxing the fish. So if there's a problem, it can be seen right then and there. And there's no disputing it or whatever. And then, of course, I always check to verify that the fish is for sure dead, because sometimes you can be wrong about that. Discus in particular may lay on their sides weird and look dead in the bag. If you don't have experience with discus fish, you may say, oh, that fish is dead. And I've seen people take a couple of pictures of it and then flush it down the toilet, and then they're actually flushing a live fish down the toilet that just needed to get out of that bag rather quickly. And you know, it's sad because I've had that opportunity. I always make sure that when I get a bag in that the fish looks dead, I take the fish out of there and I actually put it in water in my quarantine tank. If that fish is dead, that fish is not going to come back, obviously. But I have had 2 or 3 situations where I have done this and the fish, you know, has gotten down to the point where they're just not breathing hardly at all because there's something going on with either the water in the bag or the oxygen level in the bag, or the bag comes with no water in it. And you find that the fish is doing okay. Within a couple of days, the fish is normal. Now that's rare, but it does happen. So you want to make sure that you check thoroughly on everything that you're getting in. If you have a situation online where you've bought a fish, it comes to you, it's dead, make sure that the supplier you're getting that fish from clearly states how they handle those situations. They should handle it by replacing the fish, giving you, like I said, a credit, or and paying for, I should say, and paying for the postage on that, the overnight postage on it, and send you out fish again, because a good supplier is going to do that. Now, there are people that I know in this hobby who are suppliers that will go above and beyond and do amazing things that you wouldn't expect from a supplier, but that's a very good supplier. For example, I have one supplier that not only sends me fish, but will send me samples of food, sometimes full canisters of it. Maybe they want me to try something out and use it on my video. There are people out there that do that because they want you back as a customer again. Those are fantastic suppliers. Those are the people whose name I will put in my description area because my experience with them was so good that I want to pass that on to the people that are watching on my channel. Now, there are people that I have had a relationship with for a very long time, and then all of a sudden their business isn't as good as it used to be for some reason. Now, there could be internal problems that we don't know about. There could be a lot of different things going on, but the bottom line is if you have 2 or 3 incidents where things are not right, I'll give somebody a pass when something isn't right once or twice, but if you get 3, 4 incidents and you know, they're not treating you exactly the way they should, don't use that supplier any longer. There are people online who are much better, and I know so many of them around the country and locally here that will ship around the country, or places way back east that ship to me. And these are really good people that I know that I can trust, and I can be sure that whatever they're sending me, they're packaging them well. They're making sure on cold weather they're putting the heat packs in there. In hot weather, they're making sure that you know, there's nothing going to be a problem with them overheating in there. and those sorts of things. All of these things are considerations, and if you've had a bad experience with somebody, as I said, you can mark that down as something that is a disqualifier for you, or you can give somebody a second chance. That's personally up to you, what you want to do. But I like to give people a second chance, or maybe even a third chance sometimes, especially when I'm buying the fish at a volume that I'm buying them at. Like I said, buying over 100 discus in the last year for my tanks, it's important that I know that the supplier that I'm getting my fish from is going to be somebody that I can rely on to do a good job of packaging. And also, they shouldn't do that just because I buy a lot of fish from them. They should do it for every single customer that I send their way. I advertise people on this channel, and I expect that if I advertise them on this channel, not that they do anything for me in particular, but they treat my subscribers correctly, and they make sure that the fish that they're sending out to them are healthy, and those kinds of things. Now, everything should be an overnight thing. There should not be any situation, especially with discus or high-end fish like that, that you are getting your fish overnight. If somebody's dragging it out to 2 days or whatever, it's not likely that those fish are going to show up in the best of shape. There's going to be burns on their tails and fins and things like that from the ammonia in the water. That's just too long for a fish to be in transit to your location. And if you have somebody that doesn't ship overnight and they tell you it's a 2-day thing, stay away from that. That's not a good situation to be in. Go elsewhere. Like I said about buying local, if you can get something local, absolutely buy it local, because as I said, you get a hands-on experience to look that fish over really well to make sure it's interacting with the other fish. Watch it for a day or two before you buy it. Put it on hold at a store, but watch it for a day or two. See what they're feeding it. Make sure it's eating correctly. Make sure that the eyes look bright and like they're... it's weird, especially with discus and some angels. You can see there's a sadness in their eyes, and it's very evident when you look at it. And that's one of those things that I look for, and make sure that you're doing the same thing. So anytime you're buying locally, it's always better, as I said, but if you can't and you have to buy online, I understand that. So also when you're buying locally, you also get to know your supplier, and you get to pick the cream of the crop out of the tanks that they have, especially if they're a large distributor of fish. They're going to have a lot of those fish, and you're going to be able to look at them and interact with the people that run the place, as well as look at the fish and see how the fish interacts with the other fish in the tank. Those are all very important things. And as I said, make them feed them, find out what they're feeding them, so you can maybe get your fish to eat a little faster by getting some of that food and bringing it home with you. So I don't want to make a big long video here, but I thought this was important because there was a few people that sent me private messages on my Facebook page about what did I mean about being careful about buying fish online. I'm not saying don't buy fish online. What I'm saying is be careful that if you have a bad experience, do your homework first. Number one, word of mouth is best. Second thing is, if a place has been around a long time and they have a really good policy on how they deal with fish that show up DOA at your home or your business or whatever you happen to be in, make sure that you know what the guidelines are that you're going to have to follow before you're going to have the relationship go south on you because you're arguing with somebody about technicality, maybe in the way that they word things on their page or their website, I should say. So make sure you understand 100%. If you don't, call the number on the supplier and ask them, hey, what do you mean by this exactly? What should I expect? I would tell you this. There are a few people that I've had bad experiences with, but then there's people that tell you things. I've had a bad experience with them, and then you say, oh no, that hasn't been my experience at all. And then all of a sudden, over a period of time, you start to see these same problems that they're having. And if it's walking like a duck and it looks like a duck, it's a duck. There's a problem. And you got to make sure that you address that and probably stay away from that supplier, just because, you know, it just happens. There's places that they get a little bit complacent about the way that they do things, and maybe they're overextended themselves in ways that make it so that they can't be as careful about their shipping program as they used to be. And that's when businesses go a little bit south on you. Now, it doesn't mean that they're always going to be that way, but for a while, maybe stay away from that and just kind of wait to see what people have to say about their experience. As I said, word of mouth is a absolute must when looking at fish online. Talk to people who have purchased from that supplier before. Get fish from people that have had good experiences, and then typically you will not run into any problems. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you liked this video. It wasn't a video really about anything in particular, but I wanted to address that simply because several of you have contacted me about some bad experiences that you've had, and how would you know which supplier to use. And I'm trying to give you a little bit of a guideline here to follow when you're buying fish online, to make sure that your experience is a good one and that you are getting good, healthy fish when you receive them. And if you're not, to make sure that there's something in place that you're taking care of. In other words, you're getting credit, you're getting different fish sent to you, and always make sure that if your fish come to you DOA, that the shipping is paid for when they are sending you new fish to replace the ones that died. And as I said, take a picture of yourself always unboxing, and before you take them out of the bag with the rubber bands or the staples on the bags, make sure you show that that fish has died in transit. And then take a few more pictures and videos of you with the fish, showing that there's no life in it and that sort of thing, just to make sure that they understand you're not trying to rip them off and that you are doing the right thing by them. And typically, as I said, they will do right by you, but there are people that won't, so you got to be careful with that. There will be people that say that you did something wrong, but you know, the proof is when the bag shows up to you, and you know, get that bag opened, or get the box open right away, get the bag out and take pictures and videos of yourself doing it. And everybody's got a phone nowadays. There's no excuse why you should not be able to photograph yourself unboxing those fish and making sure that those fish are okay before too long after they arrive at your house. And just make sure you do that so that you've got some records to show that this was not a good experience for you for whatever reason. And again, good people will take care of you, their policies will be good, and that's the people to look for. But as I said, buy local if you can. If you can't, I understand. Thanks for joining me today. Give me a thumbs up on this one. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Leave your comments down below, good or bad. I can take criticism if you disagree with something I've said. Make sure that you leave that information as well. I learn every single day just like you do. So it's one of those things that I call a learning experience from you guys. So I appreciate it, and share this video with your friends. If anybody's looking for a good channel where they can get good information about the hobby, that's my channel. I'm here to help you. And I do offer services. I have an 800 line, which will be in the description area, that you can always call me on. And if there's some situations, we'll work something out where we'll work a program out where we'll help you to get things back on track. So thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it. We will see you on the next one. Until then, we're out of here.